Hey, wow, that was quick. What's going on, guys? So this is a live feed, so if you're tuning in not live, this may be boring to you, but if you want to watch it, you're welcome to. What are we doing today? Today we are not doing dishes. We're just chilling downstairs and hanging out and talking about what I plan to do for 2020. Um, some somewhat changes. So this pertains to the channel and for the uh, I guess if you're buying stuff, which is all in one sort of thing sometimes depending on what video you're watching. So, can you guys hear me okay? Is this mic working or is it not working? I don't know. Hello Rachel. Hello Janice. Hello Kathleen. Hello Lucy. Can you hear me though? Because I have this. I did a Jacoda thing. Is this louder than this? Because maybe I should just turn off this mic because this mic kind of sucks. Oh, if this computer had a webcam, I could do it through here because we got this microphone, but it doesn't have a webcam, so that wouldn't work. Okay, how about this? Turn this off. Power off. Okay, now how can you hear me? Can you hear me better or worse or the same? Oh, I sound better. I sound better without the mic. Okay, this mic must suck then. Or maybe since it's wireless, it doesn't do the same as like a wired one. Ah, okay. How do you guys like the lighting? It's way lighter in here. Eh? Maybe those are some harsh shadows, but put up this light right here. Where is that? Right there. I put that up there the other day for the Just Joshing with Dakota video so that there'd be better lighting. I might put another one right here. That was used to be my bedroom, but then I took those ones out because they were temporary. And when I was at the Blue store, they were having a 75% off sale. So I got some pendant lights that I want to do some kind of cool hanging apparatus with them. Okay, so what I wanted to say, or what I wanted to talk about, is the new stuff for 2020. So, Happy New Year, first of all. I mean, I've had a now. Are you kidding me? Hmm. I don't know what the heck. Okay, maybe it's gonna work. For some reason, sometimes the Wi-Fi cuts out, but our Wi-Fi kind of sucks because it's not. We don't have hardwired internet. We only have satellite internet or whatever it's called, and that's the only option that we have out here because we live out in the country. Dude behind you looks hangry. Yeah, and you know what sucks? His face. So he's missing his head attachment. There used to be a nail, if you will, that went through his head, through this little thing here, and then it came out the bottom, and then it would go into this little metal post right there. But it got lost, and his mandible is missing all of his freaking teeth because he got dropped or something. So he only has these. So he's like a. I was gonna say sailor, but I don't know if sailors are missing their teeth. You know, because of scurvy. I don't know if that's accurate anymore. And then he was always missing these two front teeth, but now he's missing that one as well. So maybe I'll have to make some gold teeth for him. Anyway, since he's missing all these teeth here, his mandible doesn't stay on nicely, which sucks a little bit. Let me see if I can put this back on here. But that was an accident. No one broke him on purpose. In fact, when I asked him about it, he didn't even know it was broken. So I was like, no worries. Gosh, and I got all these fluffs on it now because it had the Halloween fake spiderweb all over him. Anyways, that's what he's supposed to look like. And his brain is missing, so if we open up his head here real quick, he used to have a brain that I made, just a little tiny brain. It was kind of a joke that I just put his brain in here, but his brain is gone. I made the brain out of some bad caulking. Some caulking was when it was bought from the store. This is when I was making the uh, the cake shop that some of you know about, Confections Cake Co. Anyways, when I was making that spot, we were putting on the baseboards. Anyways, the caulking that we used or that we bought was all bad and it was all gummed up. So I made a little brain out of some of it and then we returned the rest. But anyways, that's that's Vincent. Oh, are you serious? Uh, so do people who don't have dental insurance? Oh, I don't have dental insurance, but I do have native status, so I do get free dental. I have to pay for it up front, and then I get covered. Um, yeah, so when I was little, I had braces. You can't tell now because my teeth are all effed up again, but that's because I lost my retainer. So if you get braces and they tell you to wear a retainer for 2 years, wear it for the full 2 years. Don't be like, nah, my teeth are straight, it's fine. So, anyways, I had braces. They cost $10,000, but I didn't have to pay for them, which is pretty good. Also, I was a kid, so I wouldn't have been able to afford it anyways. But my mom wouldn't have been able to afford it either. And then Dakota also had braces. His teeth are better than mine, but if you don't wear your retainer, it kind of undoes some of the work. So my top teeth are fine for the most part, but not my bottom ones. So maybe I'll get braces again. Um, I've been tempted to see that tooth right there. I've been tempted to take a Dremel tool and, but I don't want to go too deep that it hits like the fleshy part inside. That would hurt. Anyways, what was I saying? 2020. Sorry, I get off track here. So 2020, maybe I'm gonna write down my things, some suggestions. If anyone has suggestions of what they would love to see, I may or may not take that. So just be aware of that. But I was thinking that for some new video ideas, these are things that I wanted to do, and I've been trying to figure out how I can make them incorporate within my already, let's say, somewhat established channel. It has to be related to making art or some in some way. You may notice that the vlogs kind of deviate a little bit away from that, but I always put something related to either construction slash making or art. There's always something in there that goes with it, so that it so that it's I don't know what you know what I'm saying, right? I hope. So some of the new things I want to do. One thing I'm not going to say just yet because it's kind of a surprise, but it's also been suggested by probably, I don't know, a good handful of you guys, anyways. Probably about 100 people or so, I would say, maybe. So that's that's what I'm thinking of doing. Spend 8 hours in the chicken house. I don't think I would be able to do that. Uh, More chicken and Hank stuff, please. So if you watch the last vlog, there are some clips of the chickens in there. So make sure you watch that. You can see the chickens in there. You can even see the new chickens that we got in there. Also, if you want to see more of the chickens, Ashley's Instagram, she posts about the chickens on her Instagram, and that is at Ashley Rose Alexander. Um, Ashley Rose was already taken, so couldn't do that. As for Hank stuff, he's also in the last vlog too. Um, I have an idea for Hank where it'll be a video that's almost all Hank, but again, as I said, it has to be pertaining to art or making. So I have this idea for Hank, but I mean, he's a dog. He doesn't know what I want him to do, so those things are hard. But if you watch the Christmas tree video, he's in there quite a bit. That's a pretty good video. Um, so when I put Hank in a video, it's kind of just B-roll stuff for the most part because he's not. It doesn't really make sense to have just Hank. It wouldn't work with my channel for what my channel is about. But I will put him in there. I try to put him in there as much as I can because I know you guys like him. Uh, so there is that. Okay, so some of the new things that I have for 2020 are if you buy something from me and I usually take, most people pay through PayPal, but some people do it through e-transfer. E-transfer is a Canadian cash. Please don't send cash in the mail because that could get lost, and it's not up to me to make sure it doesn't get lost, right? So it's not, I don't have control over that. Two people have sent cash in the mail, and also if you send non-Canadian funds, I have to pay to get it, what do you call it, exchanged for Canadian money. So there's that issue too. Um, but if you're paying through PayPal, uh, how about bathing Hank in the summer? Why would that be a video? That would be funny. Maybe he doesn't like getting baths. We bathe to give him a shower. It has like the hand wand wash thing too, so it works very easy. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh gosh. Oh yeah. So if you buy something from me and you're using PayPal and you send too much money, um, this is what I currently do. I give you three options. You can either just give it to me, get a refund, or use it as credit for your next thing that you buy. Um, Now, I think I'm going to take. I'm still going to be three options, but I'm going to take away the refund because the refunds are so expensive. So we just, since it's the end of the year, Ashley just did all the. She does all my books for me. She's really good at that stuff. Um, and if she didn't do it, I would get like I would hire someone to do it. So no matter what, I wouldn't do it. So I don't really know much about it, but the amount of money that I spent refunding people who accidentally sent too much is way too much. So if you send too much, so basically this is how it works. If you buy something, uh, say you bought this painting, for example. This is already sold, so you can't. But let's say you bought this painting. This is $2,700. So if you in the mail sent me $3,000 because of the exchange rate or whatever reason, uh, that would be $300 too much. I would have to refund you. I pay on $300. I don't know how much I would pay, but let's say for example it's $20. I have to pay $20 to send you $300, or to refund you $300. Um, then I lose $20, and then times that by everyone doing that. For example, not everyone does do that, but let's just say that everyone does. Uh, let's say I sold 50 things in a month. That 50 times 20, I wouldn't sell 50 $2,700 objects. That would be insane. But let's just say that we did. That would be amazing. Maybe I wouldn't care at that point because that would be a lot of money. Uh, what is 50 times 20? Is that 1,000? So that would be $1,000, let's say, that I would lose because I had to refund you. Now, I don't want you to lose out. So the new options are going to be you can, $300 is a lot. See something else that you like, then you could just hold off until you got that. Or actually, if it's $300, I would refund that. But if it's like around the $20, $50, $60, something like that, that costs too much for me to refund you. Um, uh, that we would use, we would hold for you for your next purchase. Unless you absolutely insist that it's refunded, then I will, because I'm not a jerk. Um, wow, I'm very bad at explaining this. I'm sorry. The other option, the third option, so give it to me, use it as a credit, or the third option, rather than me send it back to you, I will donate it to a local charity. And the charity that I've chosen to partner with is called We Help, and I've had them on the channel before. Um, they actually started off as clients where I designed and implemented some construction in their loft in one of their garages. And when I say one of their garages, I just mean that when I met them, they weren't living together. So he has a house, she has a house, and they each have garages. So one of their garages that they now still collectively own, let's say, because they just got engaged. Um, I did some of their. We didn't finish it because we actually ran out of money, or he ran out of money, because because my ideas were some of them were kind of expensive. So he was okay. Let's hold off, and now he's having a kid, so now he's like holding off more. So I haven't finished it yet. But anyways, these people, they started off as clients. I saw that they were really super cool people. Her house is filled with donations and stuff, and she's working hard with her charity. It's called We Help, which benefits the what is it called? The Stollery Children's Hospital, which is a pretty big hospital here in Edmonton. It's like the hospital to be at if you're a kid. There's like the cancer thing. I don't know. It's a big deal. Anyways, it's a good facility. People come from all over the world to go to this hospital. In fact, I was in this hospital. Was I in this hospital? No, I wasn't. Sorry, lies. I was in a different hospital when I got my carbon monoxide poisoning. My nephew was in this hospital for maybe a month or something like that with third-degree burns, and it keeps cutting out. I'm so sorry about that. Um, Giving you three options if you buy something and accidentally send too much. I give you the Canadian value so that I used to translate it into American funds, but that changes all the time. It changes by like the minute sometimes. So now I just give you the Canadian value. So let's say you bought this lamp right here, right? So if you bought this lamp is $100, right? So you buy the lamp, $100 Canadian is like 75-ish dollars American. But if you say, okay, it's $100 and you send me $100 American, that's going to be 25 extra dollars ish that is going to be showing up in my account. And then I'm going to be like, bummer. He or she sent too much money. All right. So usually I would just be like, okay, hey, you sent too much money. Would you like to get a refund, hold it for credit, or just give it? And actually, I don't even think I say give it. Actually, Ashley usually replies that, so I'm not sure exactly what she says. But um, now the options are going to be uh, donate it to the charity, donate it to me, or hold it for credit for the next object. Or if it's a whole bunch, because actually this one person did send 318-ish dollars too much one time. If it's like a lot of money like that, then I will refund it because that's a lot of money to just lose. And if you don't feel like buying anything else or you're not sure you're not going to like anything else, it's kind of a bummer to have it held, right? So I hope that sounds fair. Does that sound fair to you guys? Does that make sense? I think that makes sense to me. I'm hoping it makes sense to you. It's just because refunding all these amounts of dollars, because when you send me money through PayPal, I already don't get the full amount. And then when I have to refund you, I get even less. I lose even more. Does that make sense? I get less, so I lose more? Yeah. Um, yeah. I think that makes sense, right? Uh, Delina said, thanks for the live feed. Needed a distraction. Well, I hope everything gets worked out for you, whatever's going on. Could you please do a painting of an owl and make prints that us poor people who love your work afford it? Okay, so here's one thing about pricing. So another thing that I was going to say is some of the prices are going to go up, and that's just enough money for them to be worth making, such as the roses. So the roses used to be $30, now they're going to be $50. The prints are going to remain at $20. So all the prints, the paper prints, which I don't have any here right the second, but all the paper prints, they're only $20. Uh, if you see me live, there's three for $50. So you get one for like half price. So always, how do you say that? For always no, that's not how you say that. All the time the prints will be $20. How the hell do you say that? The prints will always be $20. There we go. As for an owl, a lot of times when I paint something, I paint something. Usually, it's because I think I will be able to sell it. Now, I don't know if I'd be able to sell an owl painting. So usually, I wait for someone to commission that. So if they want to spend whatever commission prices, usually the commissions start at $1,000 for a 24 by 30, which is roughly this size. It's a little bit smaller. This is 24 by 36, so take 6 inches off or so. And then that's about $1,000. Sometimes it's less depending on the subject matter, and then sometimes it's more. It's just usually that's the ballpark starting point.
And the reason why it costs, some people think that's too expensive and it's not worth it, is because I'm trying to build value in my art. So if I'm selling something for, say, in gallery for $3,000, um, that painting is helping me build value in my art. And I don't know, some people I guess think that's selfish because they should be able to buy a piece or whatever, and I totally get that, but the thing is that this is my living and this is how I make money, except for when I need to go, if I don't make any money, then I have to go take a contract or something like that. So I hope you understand that. Like, I wouldn't go to your job if you were let's say, a cashier. A cashier is mostly a minimum wage job here, right? It's $15 an hour, and it can go up to like 18 or something like that. If you were making $20, I wouldn't be like, whoa, that's insane. Let's move you down to 18. I thought that was the cap. This is my job. It is also my passion, and I strive to be happy within what I do for a living. And but I need to pay the bills. I would be fine. But then that just shows that people are willing to pay that amount, and then I have to up my prices so that they gain value. I would like my paintings to be worth $10,000, but you can't make $10,000 by selling them for only $1,000 or $500. So the prints are always going to be the more affordable option. The unlimited open edition prints are going to be the most uh, value. What do you call that? Affordable option because uh, they're unlimited. They're not worth anything. They're worth something. They're worth $20. And maybe they will grow in value over time. I don't know. Um, Prints like that, they usually only if they're signed, if they're to another person who is of note or something like that. I mean, I'm not of note yet, but I would like to be. Um, Sometimes they will grow in value depending on how many were made. But since they're unlimited, they're non-numbered. They're only going to be worth $20 for a long time. And I mean, but sometimes not. I would like to be one of the sometimes not. You know what I mean? I like that you guys like my art, and I wish that I was able to afford to give away more, but I just can't. So like say a painting, it costs like $100 to $200 to paint um, for some of the bigger ones. This one didn't cost very much to paint. This probably cost probably like $50 for the canvas and like I don't know, probably like $10 in paint and then a couple Sharpie markers, which are probably cost very much to paint. But it's like some of the bigger ones, like the 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 one over there, the Three Stooges one. That one cost probably like $200 to paint or something like that. And so when some people are like, "Ooh, I'd give you $200 for that," I'm like, "Well, that's what it cost me to paint it." So that canvas was probably like $100 or something like that, and I probably painted with about $100 worth of paint. Nah, maybe not quite that much. It's kind of hard to judge because like I have a whole bunch of paints and I just kind of use them as I use them. So there is don't ever want to come off as pretentious, like you're not worth buying my art or something like that. I'm like when people are writing me and they're telling me like that I'm inspiring them and that I've done something positive in their life or whatever. Sounds kind of weird for me to even say because I can't believe that is the case. That's so amazing to me. So those kinds of messages, they're very encouraging, and I very much appreciate and cherish that sentiment. So me upping prices and stuff isn't me trying to get one over on you guys because I know you're gonna buy something. I'm like, oh, these suckers, they're gonna buy it, so let's put up the price. I will never do that. I will only go up in price as value goes up. So, um, in pricing my art, I'll have my price, and then the gallery will have their price. So some galleries they sell my work for more than others. It just depends on where it is and who it is and what other artists they have hanging in their gallery. So it'll be like, for example, this piece here is $2,700, $2,750 actually. I didn't sell it for $2,750. But the gallery, so I have a guy who I send him the file. He's like an appraiser guy. Appraiser? Is that the right words? Uh, Appraiser. Yeah, appraiser. So he will put a value on it. So he will ask set amount of questions. He'll be like, what is it painted out of? How much money did you put into it? What is the whatever? Blah blah. It has some questions, and then he will put an estimate on it. So 2750 is an estimate, and that's what they would put. Well, they would probably put it at like 3200 or something in gallery to try to get 2750, something like that. So I don't have overhead like a gallery does. A gallery, like they pay $50,000 a month to be open, right? So they have a lot of overhead. I don't pay anything in overhead. Well, I mean, I have to pay for my house, mortgage and stuff, but since my studio is in my house and it will be in my shop, the overhead is going to be what I would pay anyways, as if I was just living here. So I can sell it for $1,500. It's amazing to me that someone will spend that because like $1,500 when I was working, I'm not sure what this person does for a living. Um, but when I used to work, let's say a minimum wage job here is $15 an hour. How long do you have to work? Let's Google this. I don't have a calculator. Okay. Oh, what? There we go. How much? How how many hours do you have to work to make $1,000 at $15 an hour? Okay. Okay. I thought it would just be I don't know, can someone do that math for me real quick? Uh, at $15 an hour, how long does it take you to make $1,000? Was that 1,000? Is that 15,000 divided by 15? Let's see if I can just do this on paper. If you watched the Just Joshing with Chakota episode, then you saw us try to say the bed mass thing. Man, that was hilarious. 100 hours. Okay, so 100 hours. Well, I'm just basing it off of minimum wage. A lot of people probably wouldn't figure it's worth it within their budget. Maybe if they're only making $15 an hour. I'm not sure. But let's just say they were. That is absolutely amazing. 100 hours. So how long is that? So say that's 40 hours a week. Uh, so you have different work weeks, right? Some people work 40, some people work 42, and some people work 48, depending on what their union is or whatever, or just their job. So 40 hours. So that's 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks you're working for something that doesn't even do anything. It just sits on the wall. That is incredible to me. Even if you make $50 an hour, how many hours would you have to work if you made 50? Uh, you have a calculator on your PC, this person says. Okay, let me find it. There it is. You may come to know that I don't know $1,500. So it's 1,500. So 1,500 divided by 50. Okay, so it's 50 hours. 50 hours at $50 an hour to be able to buy a painting. So that's just over a week of work. So every day grinding, see a picture of mine. Yeah, I think I'll get that. That was worth over a week of work for me. That's incredible. And I will never, ever take that for granted because I can't afford to do that. If I see something that's $1,500, I have to think about it long and hard and then usually not buy it. So you can write your art studio off as a business area in your house tax-wise here in the States. You can do that here too, and we do that. So since I use this as a Just Joshing with Chakota studio, we write off this area. Um, we have the office upstairs. That's in the dining room. We don't write that off. We just write off this space because, I don't want to get audited, and they'd be like, "Hey, so how come you set up so many workspaces in your house?" Say, I don't know why they would be having that accent, but so we do that. I try to write off everything that I can because, man, it's ruthless. The amount of tax that you pay is insane. Like, so provincial, it's like 15% or something like that. I could be wrong. Hold on, let me just Google this real quick. Real quick. What is the Alberta? Oh shit, that didn't do anything. What is the Alberta seniors benefit? What would we say? Income tax rate. Okay, so 22%. Okay. So okay. So yeah, I pay 22.69%. Okay? And then federal tax, what is the Canadian federal tax? Is the Canadian federal income tax rate is 50. I really suck at math. Calculator. Okay, 26 plus 15 equals 41% of my income goes to tax. So if I can write off as much as possible, I will do that. If I have to pay someone to do something in my house, I'm like, tax write off. I did made a YouTube video about it. Blah blah blah, right? Because YouTube is part of my job now. So I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Okay, how can I make this expense write offable? And I can't do that with everything. Doesn't make sense to do it with everything because I just, you got to be honest too. Because when you're audited, they'll be like, looks like you owe back pay with interest, and I don't ever want that to happen to me because that would be trash. So yeah. Now, there's also the sweet spot. So if you make under a certain amount, you're fine. I used to try to make under the poverty line because I took a lot of cash offs, but that's illegal, so don't do that. I allegedly did that. I didn't actually do it. I was alleged. So uh, now, if you work, now I could be wrong on this, but let's say that I'm correct, just for argument's sake. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. You're in a certain tax bracket. But if you make $50,025 a year, then you're in another tax bracket, and you may as well have only made 45,000 because you're going to get taxed whatever amount. That's going to knock you down into the lower tax bracket, but that's not taken into account. As far as I know, this is how it was explained to me by our old accountant. So you wanted to make, if you were going to make over 50,000 or something like that, you wanted to make 60,000. You didn't want to make 51,000 because then it's not worth making that extra dollar. It's not worth grinding extra because you screw yourself. So when we when I was working full time, or let's say a real job full time, I would work sometimes only 1 week a month, but I would work probably 100 hours or something like that. And since I was self-employed, I could pay myself as much as the person would pay me. So let's say I did a basement, I would frame it and I would drywall it, I would tape it, and then sometimes I would have Johnny B come in and paint it. So on that, I could make, let's say, 9,000 or 10,000 or $11,000, right? Minus whatever materials are, minus paying whoever is working for me, minus paying. So let's say I came home with I would have that at home, and I could not go to work. I could, if I didn't want to, I didn't have to go to work for the rest of the month, and then I would work on my painting and my art because I'm trying to build something. So grind hard for a week, bam, and then that allowed me to stay under the poverty line. No, allegedly, because a lot of those jobs allegedly were cash. So I would have allegedly money that I could hold on to and support my art habits so that I could grow this into something that would then sustain me and my wife, right? So I wanted to, And no one understood this. It would be like, why isn't Josh working? And then when I would be at work, why is Josh still at work? Because I would be working like 15 hours a day sometimes, right? I would just be there grinding, like just being exhausted. Come home, go to sleep for a few hours, get up, go back to the job site. Sometimes I'd work on 3 jobs at once just so that I could have the rest of the month free and I could work on trying to get as much of this art thing catapulted into something sustainable. So, I don't know how I got on the subject, but working hard is not basically I don't know how to say that. You know when people brag about how hard they work, and then they have a mentality that they're better than you because they work really hard, but then you can see that they don't have anything to show for it necessarily, or it's all talk. I didn't want to be that person. No one knew that I worked this hard or that long, except for the people who I lived with, and then some of my clients. They'd be like, "You're still here?" I remember this one time it was like 1:35 ish in the morning, and the reason why I remember that 1:35 is because he's like, "Josh," I'm listening to music, and I'm just sanding this wall. I hate sanding. He's like, "Josh," I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "It's 1:35 in the morning. What are you doing here still?" I'm like, "Really?" I thought it was like maybe 9, 10 o'clock, but I was grooving. So I was just like, "What? This doesn't make any sense." Anyways, I was I was surprised I was there that long because usually when I stay late to like 2, 3, 4, and bit me, their dog bit me, grabbed my leg, and I was like, "Ah!" Anyways, it was in the same neighborhood as that guy, and that guy, he like walks by me, and he's like, "Nice to see you, Josh. Are you gonna be working till 1:35 in the morning?" So that's how I remember I was working till 1:35 that night. Anyways, I forget what I was saying now. Shoot, I forget. Why don't we go into some comments, see what you guys are saying? Because I ignored them because I didn't want to get distracted, and I got distracted anyways. Norma says, "Wait, y'all get $15 minimum wage?" In Canada, yeah. I think that's the federal minimum wage. If you're in the States, I see that a lot of you still don't get $15 an hour. Your $15 is worth a lot more than us, but I think that's relative because within the United States, you are paying $15 for a $15 item. Here, I'm paying $15 for that same $15 item. But if I wanted to buy that $15 item in the US, I would be paying $19 or whatever it is. I don't know how to do the math there. Um, Melissa is right. What did Melissa say? Your art is amazing. Most definitely not overvalued. It's worth saving up to buy one of your pieces because it's fantastic art. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. A lot of people do say that it's worth what I charge for, and a lot of people say that it's um, worth more than what I charge for. So when I say that, I don't mean anything by saying that some people don't think it's worth it. That's the majority. That's no, sorry, that's the minority. And those are usually the people who wouldn't pay $500 for it. So they're not going to buy it anyways. So I don't really listen to that kind of feedback because it's not truthful. They wouldn't buy it anyways, for the most part. Sometimes they wish that they could buy it and they just can't. And usually those comments are like, "I wish I could buy this, but it's too expensive." And I totally get that. So another thing I should say is if someone supports me a lot on my art ventures and they buy a lot of paintings and stuff, oftentimes I will throw in something for free for them. Sometimes a lot of things, sometimes one thing, and then sometimes I can't, so I don't. But I try to do at least something because I really appreciate the support. Uh, I would pay for an owl if I could. By the way, I'm 75 today, and I love watching you and your brother. Oh, happy birthday, Marcia? Marcia? Marcia or Marcia? Melissa is right. Your art is part of you, and no one else can do your style because you are you. You're unique. You'll be of note someday, Josh. Well, thank you. Don't sell yourself short. There is value in what you create. As you know, we can tell you're fair and honest. But really, I'm just saying all these things so I can get your sympathy and you'll buy a lot. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. Although, the reason why I say that is because the amount of people who message me and say, stop, what do they say? Stop fishing or something like that. And I'm like, what? First, I didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, the way that you sell yourself is unhonorable or something like that. And I'm like, no, I think I'm just honest, you prick. So I don't know. I will never, if I want money and I think that I will get it from you or something like that, I will just ask for it. I will be honest about it. I'm not the type of person. I will likely never ask you for money, but I will always ask you to buy art because that's what I want you to do. It adds value to the art and I make money. I'm not gonna just ask for cash handouts. That's to me, if I was starving, maybe I would. I'm not starving. If I was in a bind, maybe I would, and I would try to my best and work very hard to make that back up to you guys. But I'm not in that situation, so I will never do that. So, yes. That's that being said, let's go on to the next thing on the list, and then I'll go back to some comments here. The amount of people who are, I don't think hurt is the right word, but when they offer to give cash and I refuse it, I realize that that comes off as proud in a way that's kind of not rude, but I don't know what the word is, but and I don't mean for that to happen. So if someone does give a super chat or a whatever thing, I'm not going to say please don't do that because I understand why you're doing it and I do appreciate it. So I won't say that anymore because it's counterproductive and I don't want to sound like an asshole. And some people might be thinking that I sound like if that makes sense. I would much prefer that. So any donations or anything like that, I will just take it with a thank you. Um, but I would prefer you buy something so that you get something for your money. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I'm gonna cross that off there. Okay, let's go back to these comments here. Happy birthday to Marcia or Marcia. It's hard for some people to understand that you leave a tiny part of yourself on each canvas. When I paint something, it's 100% a one of a kind. Right, absolutely. Um, the price includes you actually painting something. I charge for me making whatever I'm making. Right. So some people think since you can buy a piece of art from, let's say, Walmart or whatever home store, that your art should be worth the same amount. So these pieces that you see, even if they're embellished, they take about 10 seconds to make. Now, let's be honest, they take about 10 minutes to make. Let's say that. That's why they can charge $24 for them. They're not worth anything, and there's millions of them. If I have a print of something, like I have prints of this, there's only 15 canvas prints of this in each size. I decided to do that with the amount of tapes that are on it, and I'm going to be making this a series, so there's going to be more. So there's only 15 canvas prints in this size, and then one smaller size of this. There's unlimited paper prints, but the value is there because there's not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of prints. See, some artists can do that, like Bev Doolittle. There's like 50,000 prints for one picture, and somehow they're still worth $2,300. Doesn't make sense to me because there's so many of them. Like there may as well be unlimited. I don't know. There's probably thousands sitting in a warehouse somewhere. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that's the way they do it, and that's the way they're somehow making money. So it's good art. So that could be a good reason for it to be able to sell. Any news on getting a truck? I don't have a truck just yet, but I have news on it. But I don't want to share it just yet because I don't want to jinx it again. Never Hopeless by Elizabeth has some kind words coming in at 1,000 miles an hour. You are the least potential that I am. I don't know. If you watch the last Just Joshing with Dakota, I talk mad shit about myself in a good way, and that's because I am sure of my ability to be creative, but I also don't think I'm the best at everything. I just think I have great ideas. And I will continue to think I have great ideas because I do. That's just the truth. Now, that doesn't make me think that I'm better than someone else. I just think that I'm good at what I do. And even if my skill isn't up to par, my creativity still, it's the creativity that I'm most proud of. It's not necessarily my skill set, because I'm not very skilled at anything I do. I may be more skilled than you per se, or let's say, but like someone who's actually good at some of the things that you see me do, you would see a big difference in like quality. But I think my creative ideas that implement these skills oftentimes are, let's say, more creative. They're not necessarily better, because there are other people who are just as creative as me, and there are people who are more creative than me. So I am not pretentious, but I do know that I am. I do know that I'm pretty creative. So this is comments on me saying the value of my work, I believe, and making time and energy to make something. Not even counting your time and effort, your work is amazing and worth much more. Well, thank you. You can learn from old masters, such as cutting your ear off won't make your paintings worth more in your lifetime. I don't think he did that to make his work worth anything. I think he did that because he was mentally ill. Uh, Advice given to me at a craft sale years ago by a little old lady as I was hesitantly telling her the price of what she was buying. Never apologize for charging what it's worth, dear. Oh, yeah, no, that's perfect advice. So sometimes you will see someone who really wants a piece, and they are like thinking, you can tell they're thinking, oh man, I wish I could buy this, but, and they're kind of like, okay man, maybe if I don't eat next week, and then if I just walk to work instead of drive, maybe I could, right? That's probably exaggerated a bit, but for example, there was this guy who wanted to buy one of my paintings. It was $2,000, and I don't do craft sales anyways. This painting was $2,000, but I could tell he really wanted it, and I could tell that he was legit trying to think of how he could buy it. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll give him $500 off. That's a lot of money for someone who's buying art, right? So I was like, okay, I'll give it to you for 1,500. And he was like, really? And he was like, okay. He leaves, goes to his bank, comes back right away. At 2,000, he wanted it, but he was trying to think of how he could get it. So I helped him out a bit. And now I have a client who's super happy, really loves his art piece, and will likely buy another one again. Totally worth it for me. But for someone to come up to me and be like, 30 bucks for, or 20 bucks for a print, not worth it. I don't have time for those types of people, because they're not actually interested in buying anything. I do have time for them at a human level, but in a business, I don't, because they're not going to buy it. But I will still interact with them and still try to sell them on something, because they're still human, they're still a person, there's still value to be made in friendships, let's say. So yeah, that's not exactly what you were saying, but when it comes down to pricing your work, if you think it's worth something and you're selling it for that amount to people, then it's worth that. Even if, let's say you used to sell a whole bunch for, let's say, $10, whatever it is, I don't know. Say you sold 100 of them at $10, but at $20, you're only selling 50 of them. Well, you're still making the same amount of money, and you're still selling them. There's 50 people, that's a lot of people. You're just upping your value as you go, so you can make less objects and make the same amount of money, which is kind of the goal. So yeah, overhead is a lot in some instances, so you kind of have to sell a lot sometimes. It all depends. You have to be, you're heading into certain galleries and stuff that will up your value exponentially sometimes, and you got to be patient sometimes, depending on how the gallery process is. Like, I try not to go into exhibition type galleries, because they only carry your artwork for 1 month, or say only 1 year or whatever. That's not worth it to me. I want to be permanent contributor. So even when I was in a exhibition style gallery, in getting to know me, they were like, because some of their requirements for being in their gallery was you had to volunteer one day, like putting up your art or taking it down or setting up something, and then also you had to be at your own show. So I was there even though it was in a city that's 6 hours away. 6 hours. That's insane. That was a lie. 3 hours away. 6 hours there and back is what I meant. It was 3 hours away. So I drove there. I went there probably 5 times in the month just to know that I'm serious. I want to be here because you could also be a permanent contributor after 1 year. So you had to wait 1 year to become a permanent contributor because there was a waiting list or something like that. Or maybe you had to wait more than that. No, you had to wait. Sorry. There was a year wait to get into the gallery at an exhibition level, and then there was a longer wait to become permanent contributor. But I'm a pretty nice dude, and I try to help out as much as I can, especially if it's something I'm interested in. So they allowed me to skip the line because there were some flakes in the line, and they were like, "Nah, not worth it." Okay, rather than go to the next person, let's go to someone who's eager to be a part of this gallery. Let's be someone who's going to add value to our gallery by having their work here. So I went into that gallery and I sold only about maybe 3 or 4 pieces over the few months I was there. But like being in that gallery was good for me because it upped the value of my art. And then from there, I went into another gallery where it upped the value even more. Um, just because they have professional appraisers and they have it's a different type of environment. They have very famous artists in their gallery and stuff like that. So it did that for me. Anyways, this other gallery they closed down because they switched owners. And well, they didn't close down. They're still there. They moved. They switched owners because it was a I forget what it's called, but they had a board and like a board of directors and all that stuff, and then they decided blah blah blah, and then yeah, it was a. I didn't want to be there anymore, but um, it used to be a really good gallery. Um, I forget what I was saying. Maybe one of the things for 2020, I will go try to get a diagnosis to see if I have ADD or not. Dakota has ADHD, which is why I assume that I have ADD, but I don't actually know for sure. Okay, let's get back to some comments here. Painting is your job. You can't work for free, and neither would anyone else. If they think your price per hour for painting something is too much, they can always paint it themselves. Word. I hear people, unless you're being what's the word? If you're being like, if you're just shooting the shit with me, then I get it. Yeah, you could probably do it. But if you're just being like, I could do that. I could do that for $100. Yeah, but could you sell it for $1,500? That's part of the game, or whatever the price is. Not that I think that I'm better than them because I can sell my work for more than them. It takes a lot of time to be able to up the value in your art when you're doing it like I am, right? So I don't live in an art district. I don't have an agent anymore. I don't have a publisher. I don't have these things that a lot of artists have that gain value to their art quickly. And sometimes it doesn't work. I used to have an agent slash publisher. He was like a two-in-one sort of thing. And he was trash. He turned out to be maybe we'll tell this story on the Just Joshing with Dakota channel, but my agent was recommended to me through one of the galleries I was in. And he duped the gallery into thinking he was this guy. Then clients from another business that he owned started coming into the gallery and saying, "Hey, is so and so here? They owe me X amount of dollars because they sold me a broken blank." And I was like, "Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense." And like doing this publisher thing, I was like, "Man, so he's gonna start selling my work for like $5,000." I was like, "That's amazing," but he's gonna keep 70%. So 70% of 5,000. I was like, "Dang, that's a lot." But I was like, "But that might be worth it because it adds value to my art." And then when I sell my own work, so my deal with him was uh, any non-published art I could sell. He doesn't own my art, any of it. He just has the rights to sell it to galleries, to private collectors, to this, to that. And I didn't actually sign the contract yet because I said we're going to do a trial basis. I'm like, if you want to work with me, it has to be this way. I'm not going to do it the way that you want to do it because I've never had a publisher before and I don't know you. So since he came to me, I didn't want his companies and then they could have sold it for however much money, and they would have only given me 30%. So at $5,000, that would have been worth it. But at $1,000, it wouldn't have been worth it. I would have been painting things for almost free. I would have had I don't know. There would have been some sort of legal thing, I imagine, that I would have had to do. So luckily that didn't happen. Luckily, some of his old clients from one of his other business ventures somehow found him in this gallery or knew he worked there or something and were like, "Did you know blah blah blah?" So the owners of that gallery were like, "Oh, well, that's too bad." And then so I was let know about it, and then I told him that I'm not working with him, even though he had already gotten me into a couple new galleries. Um, since they were under his publication, I didn't actually get into them, unfortunately, but that was uh, that was a close one. So do your research. Don't be like me and be like, I've never had a publisher slash agent. Let's do it. I was just excited, right? This was 4 years ago, I think. So I was relatively green. I still am. So I'm still learning. So uh, almost all artists undervalue their work. So I'm happy you don't, says Vera. Yeah, well, yeah, that I need to eat, man. Matthew Fox, I almost said narrating. He's, what do you call it? Moderating. He says that he undervalues his all the time, and he does. He sold his like bracelets that he makes for like $7, $4, $3, $10. Like some of them I see they go up to like $20 if you watch his auctions, but I'm like $20 should be the starting point. I mean, I don't know how much a bracelet is. So when I bought one, I was like $20 was my opening bid. Everyone else was bidding like $3, $4. I was like, that's disrespectful. Just because you can get something for so little, you should still value the artist's time. Of course, that's kind of his fault for not valuing his own work, but still. And then the guy, he sends it to me for free. He didn't even charge me. So, anyways. Sharon says, I have the same problem deciding how much to charge for my 10? No, grade 11. No, grade 12. When I was in grade 10. When I dropped out. And I was like, no thanks. Uh, it's like people expecting to pay me 40 euros. Is that euros? For a 100 euro cake because I work from home and don't have a shop. So that's ridiculous because if they knew what went into making a cake, even if it's a simple cake, bro, if you want to pay $40 or whatever that is, euros, go to freaking the grocery store and get one of those cakes that don't taste as good, that don't have the ingredients that you have in a good cake, that don't have what would you call that? What's the word? Like what is it called when you have like I don't know. You know what I'm saying though, right? I hope. Uh, uh, John Wolf got a message deleted. I'm not sure what that is. Art feeds the mind and the senses and helps to make life worthwhile. Food, clothing, and shelter help to keep the body alive. Do you write off transportation to post office and packing center? Uh, sort of. So when you buy a piece of art, and let's say a package costs me $8 to send, or 8.50 or 8.60. Actually, the postal services have gone up about $1 or so for a small packet, and about $4 for larger packets, something like that. So, um, those things I charge usually, so I average it out. So sometimes something costs $10 to send, sometimes it costs $11, sometimes it costs $8, depending on where I'm sending it. I just charge $12 usually, sometimes more depending on what it is. So $12 covers my travel and covers the tube. So I don't make a profit necessarily. I guess if everyone only costs 8.40, then I would make a profit. But so that I don't really what was the question? I don't write off the transportation necessarily, although I do keep my gas receipts. Um, And I also pay less for gas because I have native status. So we have res gas, which is the same as regular gas, but we just call it res gas because it's on the res. So to fill it. Um, so I usually spend about $400 on gas a week, something like that, when I am working doing contracting. Uh, your studio space is deductible and a work phone, gas, travel for mail days. How about video equipment stuff? Yeah, so I write off everything. So I wrote off this microphone. This is the microphone that we use on Just Joshing with Dakota. We have this fake microphone just because it looks, I think it looks cool. And so this is usually down here. In some of the shots you can see it. You can see that we're trying to, as each show goes on, we're trying to improve and figure it out. That's why we have so many pilot episodes, because it's not what we want it to be yet. So there will continue to be pilot episodes until we're like, yes, that's the one. Let's do it like that. Internet bills, yes, we write that off. Todd Rollins, I always see him in the comments, but he said this is the first live chat he's been able to attend, so welcome. Heck, you can get a cat for the office to catch mice and write off the cost of upkeep like vet bills, food. Hank would kill it though, but yeah. The thing with artists that sell their art, there is no set time for work. I can put in 18 hours, 18-hour work days. Yeah, you can. Sometimes, like when I have my studio, you will see a lot more vlogs and build and art videos that are going to take place at night or continue into the night, because when I have a creative space where I don't disturb Ashley when she's sleeping, I work at least till 1 a.m. At least. Usually, well, not always. Sometimes I don't, but typically I do. And I'll be out there at, let's say 10 or something, depending on, walking the dog and doing all that jazz. So yeah, at least till 10. Mosaic table for Alex's living room. We already have a design for his table, which implements some of the stuff that he gave me to make it. A mosaic on it would look not good. Also, I don't think mosaic coffee tables look good anyways. I don't think mosaics look good in general. Uh, they do sometimes, but they don't a lot of the time, in my opinion. Um, so my mosaic in my closet, that is different because it's kind of hidden away. I would never put that in my living room. I would have to make it way bigger if it was in my living room, especially since there's no division in the living room. I would have to go all the way around, wrap around into the dining room. Maybe that would look cool, but I would have to be very careful on what the design was. A lot of mosaics, it's just a bunch of different colors just put in there. I don't really like that. I like mosaic tile on the floor. I like that. But on the ceiling, the rest of the house or whatever the building is matches that aesthetic, then it's freaking awesome. It just depends. That's why I did it in a closet, because it's very small. It's all contained. It doesn't bleed out into anything else, and it doesn't taint the rest of the aesthetic. Hi, how's it going? Matthew Fox. Well, I see you on Madness Mondays too. Did Canada stop making pennies? We did, and the last penny is in some museum somewhere. Which, this is weird. Because as soon as they stopped making the pennies, they started keeping the pennies. So they're not even in circulation anymore. There's enough pennies that they would keep. You could keep them in circulation. You can still spend them. You can spend most Canadian currency in Canada still. It would be foolish to spend some of the older stuff because it's face value is all you can spend with it. So even if it's like let's say it's like an old note and it's worth $500 and it's a $20 bill, you can only use it to buy $20 worth of stuff with. So the note itself might be worth $500, but the face value is all you can spend with it. So yeah, I believe you can still spend most Canadian currency in Canada. I did that 16-hour a day, 7 days a week for many, many years, but I did it every week, every month. I survived barely. Candy bars on the truck, see beside me. Sweet rolls on the dash. See, that I would never do unless I had to. So I have this philosophy, which I've said a lot of times. Maybe, sorry, I shouldn't assume here, but let's just say in my situation, I used to work a job that I hated. I hated it to almost no end. I hated going to work and I hated being there and I hated my boss. Now, I try not to say that I hate people because people are worth more than flippant feelings or flippant interactions, let's say. But I hated my boss. I hated his guts. I could not stand him at all. And I hated feeling like that because people, as I said, are worth more than your feelings towards them because of. I finally quit and then I got fired. Not because I quit, but because I was just like, you know what? Screw this guy. I didn't say screw, I said something else. And then I said a whole bunch more. And then it felt so good. And then he said, you need to leave. and then and then I left. Anyways, I will never work a job that I hate again unless it is absolutely necessary for survival or for taking care of my wife, or if I ever have a family, my kids, whatever. I will absolutely never work a job that I hate unless it's absolutely necessary because you only have one life. So if I was working 16 hours a day and I was happy, wouldn't matter. If it was 7 days a week and I was happy, wouldn't matter. But if I was miserable, I would do everything I could to be able to stop working that job to work a job that I liked. So sometimes you're stuck in a dead end job and that sucks major. I hated that I was stuck in a dead end job. And the reason why I was stuck in that job is because it was rotating shifts. So I couldn't really look for jobs and I really couldn't go to interviews. Finally, I got fired, but I had another job lined up working for this company that was like a construction company, and they were going to be on TV and shit. So I thought that was kind of cool. That didn't work out because they didn't go to work. I went to work, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do anything. I knew how to do like here and there. I could do some things, but I didn't know how to uh, do construction at all. I didn't know the principles. I didn't know framing, and I didn't know I could do drywall, I guess, but because that's easy. But the fundamentals, I didn't know codes and stuff like that. So I quit that job because no one would go to work except for me, and I would just sit there, and it was boring as hell. And I'm like, this is unfulfilling. I'm not going to work here. So then I get a job working for the guy who used to own this house, Steve, and I freaking hated that job in a way because the job included sanding, but it was taping, and I liked taping. I was like, because I was good at it, and it's hard to be good at that job right off the bat, but I just happened to be. So I continued working there for a couple years for barely any money, but I was happy, so it wasn't miserable. Then I shouldn't say, it's not my business to say, but he was there because he had to. He had no choice but to work that job for legal reasons. Anyways, we became friends, and then he hired me to start framing houses, and then I started framing houses, and then Dakota moved back from the U.S., and I was like, hey, you want to work here? And he was like, yeah. So that's how Dakota learned to frame. Me and Dakota are small guys, and being small, like, it's hard to do heavy lifting jobs for 12 minimum, usually 12-hour minimum days for 6 days a week. It's hard work and it's taxing on your body, especially Dakota. He weighs 20 pounds less than me. So him working that job was really hard on his body. It was hard on my body, but I freaking loved it. I love being able to say, I made that house, I made that store, I did this, I made that Boston pizza, I did this. Boston Pizza, by the way, is a pizza place here in Canada, and there's one that I built, or I helped build, frame it, that's in the town that's close to me. And so every time I go there, I'm like, yeah, I built this. It's just, you can be proud of it. So I liked it, even though I was very tired and very worn out. But I liked the job, so it was worth it. And plus, I got ripped as hell. I was so strong. And yeah. And Joel, my brother-in-law, you saw him in the last vlog. He also worked for him as well. And the three of us, or sorry, the four of us were a crew for a while. And then we had some other guys. This guy Chris worked with us, and he was so funny. He was a rig hand, so he was not scared of heights at all. And I was expecting him to be afraid of heights. Like he would walk on walls like I would walk on walls. And I'm like, what did you used to do before this? Because like the wall is this skinny, right? And you're walking on top of that. And he was just like, and I'm like, okay, he's good at this. Okay, let's move this stuff. And so we would do that job together, uh, hanging or what do you call it? Hanging trusses? Yeah, I think you call it hanging trusses. Anyways, we would bomb the trusses up by hand, which that sucked because they're so heavy, and we would put them up there, and then we'd stack them, and then we'd walk them. Walking trusses, that's what it's called. And then we would put them in, do all the blocking. This kid, well, he was older than me, probably by like 5 or 6 years. Anyways, I was teaching him how to build a wall, and I shot my thumb with the nail gun right in between like these two knuckles. Like hurt a lot. Anyways, I was teaching him how to build a wall, and I'm like, don't hold your hand up here, like where right where the top plate and the stud meet. I'm like, don't hold it right here because if you miss or if there's a knot or something, the nail will go into your hand and that'll hurt. So I'm like, hold it back here. Shoot my hand first shot, and I'm like, ah. So I finished the wall, and he's like, wait a minute, did you? Is there a nail in your hand? Did you shoot yourself? I'm like, shh, because there was a safety guy on site, and I didn't want the safety guy to know, because sometimes you get shut down for stuff like that, and sometimes it'll be for a whole week, so you lose a whole week of pay, and then you get behind, and then sometimes the builder will fire you because of that, and so we eventually did get fired off a job because this one delivery driver tore up the front lawn. This was an insurance job, so it's worth a lot of money, and uh, the money gets taken away by all the extra expenses. So there's a set amount, right? So let's say it's $200,000 to rebuild a house or something like that, right? That's what the builder makes or whatever. So as the framer, you make like say 40,000 of that or something like that, and then well 40,000 that would be a lot. Let's say 30,000. You make 30,000 something like that, and then you have your let's say lot. This wouldn't be considered a lot anymore because it was a property that was established and stuff. It was all planted grass and stuff. The house had burnt down, so you could see the old house burnt down in the back. Well, you couldn't see it. It was cleaned up mostly. You could just see the remnants. And then here was the new house at the front of the property. And it was all grass. So you wanted to keep the grass all nice. And it was winter. It was a sloppy winter, so it was very wet. And the delivery driver drove onto the grass and got stuck and made these huge ruts. So landscaping, that's going to cost $10,000 or how much? I don't know how much landscaping costs, but it was going to cost. It was going to take away from our profit or overall profit because it's an insurance job. You make way more money, but as cost comes up, the pieces of pie get smaller and smaller and smaller because more and more and more and more and more trades have to come on the site to do their things. So he was pissed. Our boss was pissed. So he was just cursing. They come on site. Our builder comes on site. So our super comes on site. So the builder hires a super who hires the crews. The builder and the super, they come on and they say, I remember I'm putting on fascia, and it's heavy fascia. It's 2x10 fascia, which is it's big. And fascia is like the part that you put your eaves trough on. It was that part, piece, and it's hanging off trusses, right off the tails. And they pull up, and I'm like, oh damn it, we're so gonna get fired. But I'm like, just in case, I don't want to look like we're not doing anything. So I'm like, I'm with Dakota, and I'm like, okay, let's hang this. I'm shooting on this piece of fascia, and um, Jason I shouldn't have said his name. The boss man goes down to the trucks, and then like I can't hear what they're saying, but they're talking, and he's like, "Boys, wrap it up," and he's pissed, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna finish nailing on this fascia." He's like, "Nope," and so I let go of the fascia, and it was just like. So it may have twisted the tails of these trusses, which would then you'd have to sandwich them, and it's a lot of extra work. But he was so mad, we ended up getting fired because of that driver said that she was terrified, which is that's uttering threats or something like that. He didn't utter threats; he was just cursing her out. But he didn't know that she was a girl because uh, she just she was all dressed up, all winter clothes, and she didn't look like a girl. A stereotypical. How do you say that without sounding arrogant and rude? But you just couldn't tell that she was a girl off of just looking at her right off the bat. Especially since she was also doing what is typically what a man would do for a job. So he just assumed that she was a guy, cursed her out, thinking she was a guy. Not that he should have done it anyways. Anyways, we got fired, and then we had to go, and yeah, so we didn't work for them anymore. So then I did probably two more houses with him privately, and then I went on my own. Or I went back to taping actually, and then I went on my own. In the state, of course, dot dot dot. Right. Yeah, that's low. Um, did you get a truck? Not yet. Work and pray every day. Let's see if I can get down to. This person says, "Hey Matthew, hey Josh, you're an established artist, and it's up to you how much and how many dollars from unique artists. $1 from unique artists. I don't know what that. So for art, creativity is worth more than skill. Oftentimes, yes. You're always improving, so your viewers are always benefiting. The problem with that is if you give them a discount one time, they will want a discount another time. I ran into that a lot. Yes, but it's up to you to say no. Like, I already gave you a discount. So if you want something now, pay full price. Or if I want to give you a discount, then I'll give you a discount, right? Some art goes way up and was low valued at beginning. Oh yes, absolutely. That is totally true. Amzy Pop says, "Hey Josh, I made a live. Have belief in yourself always when selling your art. This is the price, like it or leave it. If someone will buy and pay ask price, if it's a fair price. Husband ethos when he was a car salesman. Any progress with a truck? Yeah, I don't have a truck just yet. Word means yes, right? Word often means yes. It just means like I agree, yes, cool. You know, it just means a lot of things depending on the context. It's usually always good though. Losing track of time while working intensely at something is a classic tell of ADD. Have you ever done any press for your art? Press as in like what? What do you mean advertising? I've been in the newspaper several times, but not on purpose, just because I just was. And I've been on TV a couple times, like on the news, and then I've also been on community, whatever you call those things, kind of like a newspaper as well. Uh, Hey yo, says Hannah Maddox. Haven't seen her in a long time. When I'm at a market and another vendor comes to my table, I trade my stuff with them. One time a vendor said, if you're willing to sell it for less or trade for less, that's up to you. And that doesn't devalue your art because you're making an exception. You're not making the rule, right? It's different. But if I constantly sell my work for less than I sell to other people, that makes it worth way less money because I am making uh, I'm making it habits. I'm making it the norm, and that's not what I'm going to do. Do you ever display your work at the Stony Plain Multicultural Heritage Center? Is that the place with the restaurant underneath it, and it's like an antique uh, type place up top, and it's a house, and it has like that carving of that tree beard guy in the tree. Is that what you're talking about? I'll try to look out for your reply. But no, if it's that place, I haven't. But if it is that place, I was invited to a long time ago, and then I just never did. Uh, did you video making the wire sculpture? I didn't do the wire sculpture just yet, so no. That one that I shared on my Instagram, that was something that I made years ago. Um, I sometimes DJ and there's only like 10 people. I offer the venue owner to pay me half if he books me again. Post and packing charges should include your time and travel. You can write off a percentage of the depreciation of your truck, mileage, maintenance. Well, the truck that I plan on getting is actually appreciating in value, which is awesome. So, uh, I know the same thing will work, but it's only appreciating value on the what do you call it, the gray market. Um, a dealership wouldn't give me very much, although they have been. I see a lot of the truck that I'm wanting is like 20,000, 30,000, 35,000 American, and I'm like, you asses. So that's dealership selling it for that much, and I'm like, you traded that in for probably $1,000, put a few $100 in it, and now are selling it for mad cash. Dealerships to me are so dirty, especially used dealerships. Uh, would be cool combine Mary stained glass into a table. There are ways to protect glass surface. Yeah, we're not going to do that either. The thing that we're doing for Alex's table does come from Mary's house, but it's not going to do anything with glass. Wouldn't make much sense. Some of you will see that you might want glass on it anyways, but to me, the aesthetic it all has to work together. It all has to tell a story. So I don't want it to look like, oh, he didn't know what to do here, so he put glass on it. It just, nah, it wouldn't work. I love my 16-hour-a-day job, and I had two little kids to support. Okay, well then that's different. If you loved it, then that's way different. Uh, Change of topic, but I have to say I'm loving Vincent's sinister derp face right now. It's hard not to stare at it. uh, I can't wait until you and Ashley have a family. It would be awesome to see a kid grow up with creative and loving people. I probably wouldn't show my kids on video, especially with the new COPA laws. Well, they're not new laws, they're old laws, but they're now implemented. I mean, that's not in Canada, I don't think, but still, YouTube is an American company, so. I think your recreation videos are fun, but don't bother recreating this story. Oh, I don't know what story I was telling at the time. Fashion designer window fashion. One is not compensated by thumbs up or comments. What those do is get your videos into the recommended section, which then in turn gets your videos viewed more. That would be dope. My last video apparently is getting a lot more views than typical. I'm getting way less views than I used to, but apparently the last video. So maybe I should just start making 20-minute videos rather than 40-minute videos. I kind of only make the videos as long as they happen to be. So, but I guess the 20-minute videos are the key. My baby just stole my banana bread muffin. Are you going in the hamster cage if Alex does it? I don't even know what you're talking about. I saw someone say that on, or maybe that was you, on Facebook, but I don't know what you're talking about. Used to clean the house to it all the time. Hi, just woke up and see you're live. Good morning, everyone. So what can we do to help grow your channel? Share your build videos because they are creative and short. Yeah, that'd be dope. I actually plan on doing more build videos. Like, remember how I used to upload a bunch of them, like when I was doing welding stuff? I can't weld in the house because it's just too dangerous. I don't want to start a fire. What? How did I just say that? I don't want to start a fire, and I don't want it. It's just like it's a fire hazard. I can't weld in the house. So, haven't done very many welding projects. I haven't done any actually. But guess what? I found one that I didn't actually edit and upload. I'm gonna see if it has all the footage. I'm not sure why I didn't edit and upload it, but I have one on one of the cameras. The camera that I actually put right here for just joshing with Dakota, the one that looks at Dakota, on that memory card, there's a project that I haven't uploaded. So I'm gonna see if the whole thing is there, and I'll edit and upload that here right away. The shorter ones, without having to know your backstory, are great to share on Facebook, for example. Yeah. Oh, Ashley's home. She's off work, so I gotta go because we are going to. We have some errands to do, so I gotta go. So thanks for hanging out. I didn't go over my whole list of things that I was gonna do new for 2020 because I got distracted, but I got over the most important ones. we're going to be doing a different thing for if you buy something, and I would appreciate it if you checked it out. I'm also going to be adding some new stuff to my Teespring. I'm trying to figure out how to do actual like the designs and stuff for the t-shirts but I need to buy a program to have it so there's no background and stuff. But if you would check out what I have on Teespring already, that would be sick. Hannah is saying that I should stay warm. It's actually only minus 25 today, so, or sorry, minus 23 today. So, and that's with the wind chill. So that is, it's way warmer than it was yesterday. Yesterday was minus 35, I believe. So, and tomorrow, or today, it's supposed to be 1, but this early in the morning was minus 23. So apparently it's supposed to get up to 0. So that's awesome. And that's Celsius. So I'm not sure what that is Fahrenheit. Let me just click on this real quick. Let's say 0 Celsius to Fahrenheit is 32 Fahrenheit. So that's a good temperature for winters here. That's like, I wish it was like that all the time because it's not that cold. Like you can go out in a t-shirt if it's not windy. It's kind of, yeah. Minus 9 degrees Celsius now in Millwood. So it's probably about that here as well, which is really good. Greg Reeves says, have a good day. Greg Reeves is awesome. He bought a paper print of mine, and then he bought the original of the same. Never mind, that was a scammer. But anyways, I do have to go because Ashley is home and we have some things that we need to do. I've been on for an hour and a half. I am going to leave this live up just so everyone gets the info, and we kind of had a good chat here. Sorry that I didn't get a lot of your comments here, but one thing I did want to mention before I go, I am going to be doing another fan mail. If you can hear Ashley, Hank ate some of Duke's food. Duke came over 2 days ago or yesterday or something like that. Anyways, he slept over, so he had some of his own food here, and Hank grabbed it. It was in a dish, opened up the lid, and ate it all. And I can see here Ashley being like, "What did you do?" Anyways, I'm going to be doing another fan mail opening here right away. I will be putting a what do you call it? Like a post here on Instagram or on YouTube. So that you can hang out with me with doing that. It's just because I have like 5 or 6 packages. 3 of them came from one person, and they spent over $300 sending it to me, which is what? That's insane. Not only that, it also cost me $30 to pick them up from the office. So that's $330-ish to send to me. That is, wow, guys. And another one, someone sent to me through UPS. If you are going to send something to my P.O. box, not necessary, but I do appreciate it, send it to the P.O. box through the post office. Because this one lady sent it to my P.O. box, but through UPS, which doesn't work. So I didn't actually know that I got it until she messaged me on Instagram and asked me if I got it, and then I had to figure it out. So I went to the post office. They told me to go to UPS. I go to UPS. They told me to go to this other UPS, which is only open after 3 on weekdays. So I had to go all the way over there. And then it cost me like $27 to pick up, and I was like, what the heck is this? You're charging me this? Which is fine, I don't mind paying that, but I was just like, this is weird. So it was addressed to my P.O. box, but since they can't mail to my P.O. box, I didn't actually get it, and they were going to hold it for only 3 days, but I did get it because I called them and they held it for longer. So I am interested to see what they are. I don't open them until you see me open them, and I try not to look at the labels so I don't actually know what's in them. But sometimes I do see the label, and then I'm like, oh, this is this. So anyways, Hank is just into eating food. It doesn't matter what it is, even if he doesn't like it. Like one day I gave him red bell peppers. He doesn't like them, but Shadow loves them. So if he sees Shadow eating them, he's like, okay, fine, I'll eat them. And then now anytime I'm cutting up a red bell pepper, he will beg for it. And so he will eat them now, no problem. Sometimes he will spit them out and be like, oh wait, I forgot, I like those now, and then he'll eat them. Anyways, I gotta go. So thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate you guys. If you would, check out what I have available on the My Hands Gallery Facebook page and pick up a print or two. I do have prints of this one available, and that top tape there, it's blank so that you can get it customized. That includes canvas prints and paper prints.
All right, guys. See ya. I almost clicked off with the mouse. That wouldn't make any sense. All right, bye.